This is HockeyDocs Presents the Junior Hockey Giants Podcast. Each episode, we bring you exclusive feature interviews with the biggest stars in the game, past and present. From Memorial Cup champions to today's brightest NHL stars, we take you behind the scenes to hear how they learned their trade in the Canadian Hockey League. Your host is Aaron Bell, longtime OHL communications director, writer, photographer, and documentary filmmaker with decades of experience covering the game. If you love junior hockey, this is your all-access pass to the stories that made the game what it is today. Now, let's drop the puck on this week's episode.
Before he became an NHL playoff hero, Adam Henrique was just a teenager trying to find his place in the Ontario Hockey League. Drafted by the Windsor Spitfires, Henrique joined a team in transition. New ownership, new management, and a new vision to build something lasting. In this conversation recorded in New Jersey in 2018, Henrique looks back on those early days, the first meeting with GM Warren Rychel, the uncertainty of stepping into a rebuilding franchise, and the sense of relief that grew inside their dressing room. He shares vivid memories of the Spitfires' back-to-back Memorial Cup championships, grueling series against Kitchener Rangers and Barrie Colts, overtime heroics, and the quiet confidence that came from knowing they could handle any adversity thrown their way. Henrique also reflects on the people who shaped him, teammates who became family, coaches who taught him how to play the game the right way, and the legacy of Mickey Renaud, whose leadership left an imprint on Windsor and everyone who knew him. This is the story of a player who learned to embrace the biggest moments and the journey that prepared him to make his own.
So for you, Memorial Cup, tell me when did you even first kind of hear of the Memorial Cup? When did you even know that?
Honestly, before I was drafted to Windsor, I guess, Warren came out to the house to meet us and the family and kind of get a start on everything. And we kind of had, I guess at the time they had, a vision of where things would go. It was their first time owning a team and going to be their first year, and obviously my first year, and everybody who came in. So, the plan was to bring us in, build the team up from there through the draft, and then in the fourth year, win the championship, win the Memorial Cup. And obviously once, we got started and things kind of took off, I think faster than, anybody really expected. And obviously we were able to do it in our third and fourth year. So, that was kind of my first time hearing about it. And then obviously once, playing at that level, you watch it every single year because that's the ultimate goal.
They really kind of, when you see what happened there, that's the blueprint. You can make that work. It seems easy. Just draft a bunch of players and keep everybody together. But tell me about that 99 or the 09 team. So you guys get through, you win the OHL championship, and then you go to Rimouski, get down early, and you get to a point where you got to win through. What was that like for you guys?
It was, going into the tournament, I guess we were ranked number one, of the four teams. And, once you get to that level, the rankings are, and I think, I don't know if I wouldn't say that we looked into that too much, but we played the two Quebec teams first. And I think they surprised us a little bit with the way they played and how fast they were and how, their style of play was just a little bit different than ours. And that first game, obviously we get behind and lost, and then we get Rimouski coming off, a long break. They got their first game out of the way. We're a little rusty, and then they're firing on all cylinders, and they, jumped ahead, obviously pulled out with the win, then we're down 0-2. So right there, we're in a must-win situation the rest of the way. And, as a team, we were still confident. There was no lack of trust or doubt in our minds that, it was done. I think before that next game, we went out as a team and had kind of just the day to ourselves. And I think we went and played pool for the afternoon and just kind of relaxed and kind of got our minds out of the game and the tournament. And that's kind of what we did all year. We just played. And so I think we just got back to the way mental area or aspect that we needed to be in. And then we played Kelowna, a team that, played, I guess, more similar to our style and maybe a team at the time that we needed to run into to get back on track. And then once we did that, we just got rolling. And even then going into the tiebreaker game, we were down 2 or 3, and Dale Mitchell had a huge hat trick to bring us back. So there's so many things that go into coming back in that tournament, and then obviously getting in the semifinals, going into overtime. I scored that game to win off a rebound from Halsey, and then going to the finals. Really, we felt that there's no stopping us. And we, at that time, obviously, we played the most games in the tournament. We're on a roll, and we're just going. Kelowna had a little bit of a break, and we just were able to jump on them right away and get out with a lead, and really just didn't look back at that point.
The next year, it's definitely the favorite next year. With so many guys back. A couple of big trades, the big one with Bell in particular, I remember. And then I remember you guys went down in the semis against Kitchener. Yeah. And I remember this day, Paul Kratz and I rode to the game together, and after the game, I'm like, after game 3, you guys are down 3-0, and I'm still like, I think it's even funny that you guys are still going to win. Like, it was a weird series, but tell me about that. You get back in and then that roll from there.
Yeah, it was, for us, that was our adversity for that year. Going in this series, we knew it was going to be a tough one. We always had that tough road coming out of the West. And then running to Kitchener, they jumped on us, and that even being down 2 and then going to our building for game 3, they got a lucky bounce in it to go up late, but just like under 2 minutes to go in the third, and that just took the wind out of, I think, everybody's sail, but us. And again, that was as a group, we were still calm. And we kind of did the same thing. We got back to basically we got our head out of the game. We went back to Kitchener, went out for a team meal, just relaxed, and then got on a roll. We just needed that first one. In that series, Jeff Skinner was on fire, and luckily we had a few guys clicking at the same pace, and we just got that first win under our belt. And I remember playing in the auditorium there. Was probably, even to this day, it was probably some of the loudest arena that I played in. There's stuff falling off the ceilings during games, and it was a cool place to play. Even John Moore, our team, was on the team at the time, and a few other guys I've played with over the years were on that Kitchener team. And but once we got on that roll, we got that first win under our belt, got the second one. Game 3, even, I think we were back in Kitchener, or game 6, I guess, and we were still down. They jumped on us right away. We scored to tie it up. They scored again right away to go ahead, and then just found a way to win. And game 7 for us, there was no question that we were coming out with the win. And I think once we got rolling there, it was just a matter of getting going. And then the big thing too that year, coming off that series, playing, Barry's waiting for us, and they were, we're 1-2 all year. I think they beat us both times in regular season, so they had that going.
They drafted Kirby.
Yeah, that was, and you know what, that was something we kind of joked with Warren all year about, going into the series. You're looking for any kind of edge, and obviously everyone knows how that all played out, but really that just gave us so much more motivation. And we already had it. We were getting on a roll. It wasn't smart of them to, stoke the fire there, but it was what it was. And then even, if we had the long series with Kitchener, usually there'd be a couple day break, but they didn't give it to us. We wanted to play right away, so we went right down to Barrie, right into the game. We got game 1 in overtime. And went from there, and ended up walking through that series. I know they got Zach Rinaldo back from his suspension in, I think, game 3. And then we just went from there. But that Kitchener series, just getting that first win under our belt, we really, then we railed off 12 in a row right through the Memorial Cup. So.
So you guys get to Brandon, to expect. You're on a roll. But remember that? I don't know if it was the first shift, but it was early.
Oh yeah, Halsey almost died. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're the team with the experience going in there. Brandon coming off, they're in a similar position as Rimouski, losing early in playoffs, being on a break, coming in their home building. And then that first shift, Halsey, there's a big hit in the corner, goes in, looks bad. I think if it was anybody else too, it would have been a different story. But he, bounces right back, comes next shift, puts one through his legs at the blue line, goes down, scores, and then obviously had a huge win the first game, like 7-1 or something, and just got on a roll. I mean, we were just playing, and there was really. Then, it's in that tournament. It's so important just to get that first win, because you're moving on. Whether it's a tiebreaker, you live to play another day. But you get that second win, you're going to the finals already. If one of the other teams is 0-2, and then but then we were playing the Quebec team, and we're in their position the year before, so we couldn't let our foot off the gas and. They gave it their all. I think we went to overtime, and Eric Wellwood scored, and that's just a big turning point in that tournament for, if they do get that win, stay alive, maybe it comes back to bite us in the finals if they make it through, just like we did when we played Kelowna the year before. So.
You have to. What about for you? I mean, Hall seemed to kind of get all the headlines, and it's a very high draft pick prospect for that draft, but. You played some of the best hockey I've ever saw, ever, right? And in both of those finals in the Memorial Cup, what was it that you think for you were able to play at your best?
Well, the first year going through the playoffs, I think it took me a bit to get going. We went through the London series. We were really playing as a team there, and then going into the tournament, just. I felt like my focus level was so high. I was just dialed in. I was just trying to play. That was really, I would say my kind of coming out party, I guess. And, I was just trying to just play my game, do anything I could to help the team win. I think I had a couple fights in the first tournament. When we're down, just trying to get the guys going, like things like that. And then, points-wise and scoring a couple of the goals, I was just in those positions. But then that going from there, like my confidence level just grew after that tournament. Got invited to the World Junior Camp in the summer. Then coming in the next year, we knew our expectations. We knew already we're going to win again. We're going to go through the exact same path. We're going to dominate the season. Go play World Juniors obviously was a huge, dream of mine and my team. I was lucky enough to go with 4 of my teammates, play against a couple guys, and it was really just a special year. Everything kind of came together as you would want it to, as you always dreamed it would be. And obviously the goal before we were drafted with Warren is, in our 4th year we'll win. But we did that in our 3rd year, and the group of guys that we had and then brought in, having that 4th year, we knew we were just going to roll through and add a second one. Then even after that, it would have been great to see Windsor be able to host and have a chance at the 3-peat, because they still had a great team. They still had Ryan Ellis, quarterback and everything. But obviously didn't happen again until this past year.
Yeah. It's about Warren. It's funny with Warren is he's an easy guy to underestimate, but when you look at what he's done, and then when you look at what he did this year, like with your team, that was an incredible job. Then with this team, it's a completely different circumstance. What is it about him that makes him a good job?
I don't know. But coming in as when I first came in when I was 16, we knew we were going to be a bad team. It just, it was what it was, and we're going to build to the draft, and we all knew it, but we're going to work. And to be able to learn, Warren won a Stanley Cup, played in the NHL for a long time. Bob Bugner, same thing, he played for a long time. Was a captain in the NHL for a long time. DJ Smith, and then every other coach they brought in there were guys to learn from and learn how to play and learn how to, play to get yourself to the next level. And that's something that, a big reason why a lot of players, over those 4 years have played games in the NHL and have gone on to play, either here or in Europe or wherever, or just play pro hockey. It's because of those guys. And, Warren always works his magic somehow. Pulls off trades and brings in the right guys in the right time. And, even early on, we're bringing guys in left and right and just trying to get the right fit and trying to get the feel. And the way Boogie coached, too, was such a player's coach. And DJ Smith, too, was another guy to learn from that, was a huge reason of, why I'm here and why I play the way I do and have had success. It's all because of those guys.
Yeah. Last thing I want to ask you about was, tell me a little, you talked about adversity and going through adversity there, but with Mickey and what happened there, like you talk about adversity, that's a whole other level. Tell me a little bit about it.
He is such a, when I first went down, Mickey was the first guy that I met. Him and Mike Weber, we showed up to come see with our the 1990 draft year guys. We were getting dropped off and staying, and if you ask, my mom would be crying and the works, and it's all new to us. They're dropping us off and with these other families, and we're gonna play and go to school, and so it was a whole change, but. Mickey kind of took us all under his wing, and for me too, he picked me up every day, drive me to the rink. He lived a couple streets over. Him and his family, his parents are such nice people. I still stay in touch with them once in a while when we're in town, and it's great to catch up and see them. And he was the leader of our group. He led by example, really. The way he played the game, he played it the right way. He played hard. Did all the dirty things, he'd fight if he had to, but he'd score, he'd stick up for his teammate at, any second. And it was tough to go through. There was obviously a shock in him being from Windsor too. One day he's there, next day he's gone, for no particular reason. So it was a shock to us, to the city, and you really saw how much he meant to so many people there, and he still does. He still has everything up in the arena. They have the scholarship award under his name, and he was somebody that I always tried to model myself after. First on the ice, obviously, and off the ice, the way he carried himself. And if he's still around today, there's no question that he'd be playing the NHL somewhere.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Junior Hockey Giants podcast. This episode is brought to you by my new book, Junior Hockey Giants Road to the NHL. Inside, you'll find original stories and photography celebrating the past of players like Adam Henrique, Taylor Hall, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Mitch Marner, and dozens more. It's a tribute to the dreamers, the draft picks, and the unforgettable moments that define junior hockey. Find out more about this new book at HockeyDocs.com.